Hello friends, and welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to do something a little more chill, and I'm going to be reviewing some books. Not just any books. These are books that gave me life in middle school. So let's circle back to about 2006, 2007. I was in 5th grade. I was introduced to a book series that would change my life forever. Twilight. I'm very nostalgic for this book series. Like, I still enjoy it. And the movies, it's just big chef kiss to me. So that really got me started into reading. Like, I always enjoyed reading as a kid, but then this series kind of pushed me towards more young adult books, more book series in general. So picture little old me, 5th grade, just sitting in the hallway, reading up a storm. Let's recreate it, because honestly, I think my hair was almost this short at the time. It was a little bit shorter. This is what I looked like. So no wonder nobody approached me in middle school. So once I started reading more, I got into a different series as I got older, and I kind of pinpointed 4 series that were really my series of books in middle school, and I want to review them today. I have reread them in the past few years, so it's kind of fresh. There's some that I could reread again and get a better point of view now that I'm an adult. But let's just get started. We're going to start with Twilight. I have reviewed the series on my channel before in my old video of what my favorite books of all time were, so go check that out if you haven't. But if you haven't seen it, so this will be kind of new reviews. If you can't tell, I love it. I understand that it's cringy, cliche, all that. There's some problematicness to their relationship, but it's just an aesthetic. It's just like a vibe, like Team Edward all the way. If you're Team Jacob, you have to be a certain Team Jacob. Like New Moon, pre-Wolf Jacob, I'll accept it, but after that he just turns into a complete jerk, so I won't accept it at that point. This book series was like very impactful for me. I devoured it. I was obsessed. I had Twilight everything, Twilight merch, Twilight birthday party. Like, it was it. Like, I was the Twilight girl. I still get recognized by my peers as the Twilight girl, and there's no shame in that. So the first 3 books had already come out by the time I was in middle school, but Breaking Dawn had not come out yet. So I was there for that midnight release. I was lining up. I was probably 11 or 12 when it came out, and then the movies started coming out. It was like, it was a thing. My dad and I would go to the midnight premieres of the movies, and like, they're just memories. So that's why I enjoy the series so much. And I reread it last year when Midnight Sun came out. I still enjoyed all the books. I think Breaking Dawn was my least favorite just because it's a little drier. There's not much going on after they get married. Like, you can, unlike the movie that shows Alice's vision and there's actual fight scene, not much happens other than Jacob imprints on a baby. And I actually enjoyed the part of the book where it's Jacob's point of view. Like, I think it's interesting to get a different point of view than Bella's. Would have been nice to get Edward's point of view at that point, yeah, but no, we had to wait around for Midnight Sun. But Midnight Sun is great. So if you're feeling nostalgic, these still remain some of my favorite books of all time. Like, I could reread it at any point. The movies are just, they're fun, they're bad. I love them, I don't care. So honestly, I'm still gonna give this series as a whole like a 9 out of 10, because other than Breaking Dawn, it's enjoyable. Bella has better character traits in the books, I feel like. She's a little spunkier as opposed to the movies. Edward's about the same. So yeah, please read Twilight if you haven't, and so you can relate to me. So we're going to move on to the next book series that I read in middle school. I think it was a little mature for me, but my mom brought them home anyways. I was in 6th grade. I think she just thought they looked cute. I think it's called like the Internet Girls series. So you got TTYL, TTFN, Later Gator, and this came out later on was YOLO. I think I was in high school when this came out. So it was mostly these 3 books that I would read a lot, because the style of writing, it's just like they're instant messaging each other. It's super easy to read. Like, I could probably read this in a day, not even. They're so quick, and the characters are really fun. So if you're one of those people who doesn't like reading the details, this would be perfect. It's kind of like you're talking to your friends. That's the kind of way it reads. I have the older versions, which is instant messenger, not text, because that was the time. So like, you've got your little chat rooms, your names. I used to have AOL Instant Messenger. That was a time. I enjoyed it. So I think I need to reread it as an adult, but when I reread them in college, I still enjoyed them. I think they're still fun. I think some of the content was a bit mature for an 11-year-old, but I mean, it didn't like traumatize me, but it does teach you some things. Like, I think in the first book, this girl gets into a relationship with like her teacher, and it shows how inappropriate that is, and it just deals with like the drama of high school and all that, and you kind of prepare yourself for it with all that stuff. And some of it's really fun, some of it just kind of gets more into like how friends help each other, like no matter what, they're always there for each other. So I recommend it. I think they're fun to read. If you've got like a day or you're at the beach, definitely read them. But then again, I'm nostalgic, so I probably would give them like an 8 out of 10 because I really like these books. Like I've been wanting to reread them, so they're on my list to reread again. Let's count how many times I say reread. So I think the next book series I read was the House of Night book series. And I think I mentioned this in one of my, in my recent video of books, which was what I read last year. I only read Marked. So in the beginning of this year, I decided to read the next 3. I enjoyed reading them. I think there's parts that I don't care for. Like Zoe is kind of one of those, I'm not like other girls. Like you can tell with the writing style, it's definitely like mid 2000s. Like she's different, she's unique. Like we get it. Okay. You're cool, sorry. But there's parts that I really like I enjoyed their friendships. Of all the series I'm reviewing today, this is my least favorite. Especially because I think after Untamed, it gets very convoluted from what I remember. Like there's too much going on. They bring in Kelowna, they bring in this and that, but I was also like 12, 13, so I think I stopped reading it. I didn't read the whole series. Like I stopped maybe a couple books from the end before I was just like, I'm bored of these. So I don't have the rest of the book series, I just have the first 4, and they're good for a read. If you like vampires and you like teen books, I think it's just because I outgrew young adult books a lot. That it's not my favorite series, but I still enjoyed rereading these. It was fun. It was like a trip down memory lane for me. So I think I would give the first 4 like a 6 or I want to say a 6.5 out of 10. Like it's enjoyable, but it's not something that like I'm losing my shit for. I mean, I would not be a good book reviewer because I swear too much. I was just definitely a reader in middle school. We didn't really have much else going on. Like this was pre-social media. This was pre like smartphones and all that. So you'd come home from school and you have like, you'd play video games or you watch TV or you'd read, and that was me. I just really enjoyed being alone in my room and reading, and I still enjoy that to this day. So let's move on to the next book series. This one was recommended by a friend, and I picked it up. The Pretty Little Liars book series. I was in 7th grade when I started this book series, and like I just got hooked immediately. The first chapter, if you've read this book series, you reread it and it's so nostalgic to me. Like I just remember like summers in middle school devouring these books. My dad would bring home like one book and I would finish it in a sitting because it was just so good. I reread the whole series, which is, how many books did they do? There's 18 books total in this series, and I reread them all a few years back. And I really enjoyed them. Like it was really fun to go back and relive it because it keeps you hooked. Each chapter kind of ends at a point that it switches perspectives, so you want to keep reading and you want to get into what happens next, even though I knew what happened next. But it had been so long since I read them, there's a lot of stuff that I forgot about. Compared to the TV show, I think the plot in the books is way better, but the characters in the TV show for the most part are better. Like I enjoy Hannah more in the TV show. Emily's better, Spencer's better. I think Arya is better in the books, and I enjoy the ending of this series a lot more. Like the TV show, just, I didn't even finish that because it just got like way too much of a mess to me. Like all of the reveals in the books were really like well done, and I remember the first time finding out about Mona, I was shook. I was shooketh. And that was an unbelievable, so I have that book too. So like this book was very like good. I want to use a better word than good. I actually did a project on this book in 7th grade for one of my book reports, and it was so cute. I did this like cold case file, like you open it up and it's got like quotes, it's got like, oh, Allie who's missing. Like, I still have it under my bed somewhere. I really should pull it out, but this book is where it started to get real good. It was just so different, and I just, the twist in this was crazy. The twist in Wanted, because that's originally where the book series was gonna end. That twist in Wanted was like, oh my god. Never saw it coming, honestly. Like, they did such a better job than the TV show with their reveal. And honestly, maybe I'm just really easy to please, but I just remember when I first read it, it was amazing. When I reread the whole series, my favorite actually was the prequel, which is Allie's Pretty Little Lies. It's done from Allie's point of view in 7th grade, like right before she disappears. And I won't spoil anything if you haven't read the books, because it's a little bit different than the show. Because I know in the show, I don't remember in the show, honestly, just don't even, whatever. But I just really enjoyed reading from her point of view and kind of understanding why she's such a little bitch and what happens to her. So I highly recommend this. I think maybe after you read the first 8 books. I think the second part of the series wasn't super necessary, but it was still enjoyable. So, I mean, I'm not complaining. It's not like one of those book series where you keep reading and it just gets worse and worse and worse. It kind of just stays even the whole time, which is good. So I highly recommend that. I would also give that series like an 8 out of 10. Just really easy to read. You'll fly right through it. Great beach read. I think all the books that I've just talked about, you could easily read them like at the beach, just by the pool. So let's caption this video Taylor's summer suggestions. So these were my favorite books in middle school. Little nerdy Taylor, just vibing out, reading some books, and I kept all of them to this day for the most part, and I reread them. I recommend them. Get a glimpse into what it's like to be me. If you've read any of these books, drop a comment down below. Which one's your favorite? Why? Which ones do you hate? Like, let me know. So this has been really fun to kind of go down memory lane. If you want more videos like this, just drop a like, leave a comment, and make sure you subscribe before you leave. So I will see you next week.